good serious expression goes a long way when you're making a film with a dog. So it's important to note, Indy has no idea he's been in a movie.
Aw.
But yeah, so this is Indy. He's my dog. Does not know he's been in a movie. Has never known he's in a movie, but good serious expression goes a long way when you're making a film with a dog.
He's
Oh,
absolutely beautiful and quite the actor, I must say.
yeah, yeah. No, he's pretty special. I mean, so he's my own dog, so learning to make a movie with a dog is always going to be unique. And I think part of what made this both really, really fun, but I think also rewarding for the film is that we learned to, make a movie around him that allowed us to embrace his real, genuine personality. So, the fact that he's my dog, gives us the ability to shoot some things that, we see real love and affection between
Yeah,
Indy and my legs, which are standing in for the actor as he, cuddles up and, sidles alongside us.
that's incredible. So, okay, I've been keeping my eye on this movie for quite a while. What is the origin story for Good Boy? Like, where did this idea come from?
Yeah, I mean, I've been working on it for a really long time. Conveniently, I keep a diary of like all my film ideas, and I can trace it back to 2012, where probably after watching Poltergeist for the millionth time, if you remember, that film starts with a golden retriever wandering around the house,
Yes.
clearly cued into the fact that a haunting is about to begin before his humans do. And I thought, man, someone should tell a story, a haunted house ghost story, entirely from the dog's perspective. And we just kind of ran from there. I say ran, but it took a long time to kind of crack that story of how that would actually work, with a canine protagonist. We're not making Airbud where, there's a dog that can do something a real dog can't. That's no shot against Airbud. I love that movie, and I've watched it a lot trying to figure out how to do all this.
So I've been given a heads up that Indy wasn't trained for the film, but based on his behavior, I imagine he's trained well enough. Were you confident that you could get him to do what you needed him to do?
I mean, I think what gave us the confidence is that we started very slowly with this. We didn't just set out one day and start filming this, odyssey of a production. We started small, and originally I wasn't thinking Indy would be the lead talent at all. Um, as I was writing the film, you're trying to figure out how does this even work? There's things that you can tell a human actor to do that are going to be really tricky for a dog, especially in horror, where it's so much of blocking and point of view is the storytelling. A character walks into a space, hears a strange noise, which obviously isn't really there, but then they turn and look toward, like for the actor, I mean, they turn and look to it, and the filmmaking takes care of the rest. Figuring out how to do just that simple stuff with Indy, or with any dog, was we were figuring that out as we were writing the script. And I started making these short films that were sometimes just replicas of scenes from existing horror films. One of the early things we filmed was I tried to shot for shot remake a sequence from The Shining where
Oh,
Danny is
nice.
exploring a hallway. But I was like, what if I tried this and just like copy it? What's it like to do that, but with a dog where we're on the dog's eye line and we're in his subjectivity, and then, the reverse of that.
Right.
Um, One of those shorts we made, which was based on a scene which you'll see in the feature film, uh, won a short film contest. Indy was nominated for Best Actor. Uh, and at that point, it was clear. I think everyone who has a dog believes their own dog is the cutest, most special dog in the world.
Oh,
We
of
had people
course.
telling us that that was true. So maybe my wife and I are very warped now, but we got there slowly, figuring it, both learning how to work with Indy, how to draw this performance out of him, how to create it with the filmmaking. I think that's a big part of it, is a huge part of it as well. Um, so yeah, it took time to get that confidence. There was not just one day where we said this is definitely going to work. It was an experiment to get to that
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated by the concept of animals being able to kind of perceive beyond our means. We have a cat, and
Hmm?
when we first moved into our new place, our cat was had very peculiar behavior, was staring at the ceiling a lot, was looking at the corners a lot, and like we were convinced that this brand new building that we moved into was somehow haunted. Didn't turn out that way, but it was good to know that she was on the alert.
Yeah.
So, given like stunts and the content involved in the movie, was there any apprehension about using your own dog for the film? Did you ever consider getting a stunt dog?
Well, we have a stunt dog. He's a stuffed animal called Fake Indy or Findy. Um, so there are certain stunts, I don't want to give anything away, but if anything looks genuinely dangerous, it was performed by his stunt double, which is essentially a puppet made to look like Indy. And then a lot of the other things where Indy is obviously in the film, but there's an illusion of, and I think illusion is absolutely the right word. Um, there was a lot of old school camera tricks that we were doing to pull this
Yeah.
off. Things are reversed, they are sped up, and obviously we're adding sounds everywhere. I'm so satisfied, and it speaks volumes to the sound team that worked on the post of this. It was just two people, but they really put their hearts and souls and time into it. That Indy sounds afraid, and being in the audience, you hear people go, "Oh," like, and it's just like, yes, the trick is working. Indy's doesn't know he's making a movie. He's usually acting for a small piece of food just off camera. But if you put
Right.
in the perfectly timed whimper or the jingle of his collar that just sounds a little more mournful or frightened, um, the trick of the filmmaking in conjunction with all the other shot progression that you've done that tells the audience how to feel, we then project ourselves onto, him, and we get the illusion of this, very heightened performance.
So, not to give anything away, did you get nervous at all with potential audience members when all the comments about if the dog dies, we riot came out? Did that like send any alarm bells off for you?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that are, most personally alarming are if anything happens to the dog, I'm going to go John Wick on the director. Um, but
Jeez.
but it's look, I think the reason people have fallen in love with Indy and are excited about the movie is that, this there's a I think a recognition of how of the concept, that just as you were saying, that isn't it weird our cats are staring at the ceiling, or there's something recognizable you've seen in your own life where you've said like, ah, I've seen my own dog do something similar. So I think there's something just very relatable. People love pets and animals, obviously. But in terms of like that question, does the dog die? You know, we want people to, as much as possible, go into the film, not knowing how the story is going to end. Obviously, this is Indy's story. We made the movie entirely around him. He's my dog, so like his comfort and safety and he's right here, is of
Yeah.
our top priority. So I think it's both. It's been exciting to see that reaction, and I'm also really excited for people to see how the story, comes together.
Right on. Yeah, I gotta say, I haunted house films, horror films are like among my favorite. And one thing that I look for and hope for is I don't want too many jump scares. There's definitely a number of those in here, but kudos to you for not overusing the technique. I really appreciate it. I genuinely jumped out of my chair at least twice early this morning when I was watching the movie.
I
I
mean,
was a
that
little
makes me so
freaked out.
happy to hear.
So when the trailer went viral and resulted in a wider theatrical release, what was your reaction to getting that kind of interest in the film?
I mean, it's really delightful. I mean, look, my wife and I, who were the people on set working with Indy, and there were certainly more people who worked in post production and then later on, but it was a small team who really believed in the project. Um, so we always believed in it and always thought, yeah, obviously people are going to want to see this, but then to actually get moved to a wide release, it's like the greatest feeling in the world. And I hope a lot of people get to, see this. It's a unique, fun little project.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. Joe Blow was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.